A Bronzeville mother loiters in Mississippi. Meanwhile, a Mississippi mother burns bacon. This is a poem written by Gwendolyn Brooks, published in the Bean Eaters collection in 1960. This is 5 years after the murder of Emmett Till in 1955. And in this poem, Brooks writes from the perspective of Carolyn Bryant, who was the wife of one of the murderers of Emmett Till. And so to kind of put this poem into context, up until this point in the poem, Bryant has been thinking about the idea of a dark villain and a noble prince that she's learned throughout her childhood, and while she's making breakfast for her family, she keeps thinking back to the murder of Emmett Till and how he kind of doesn't fit the villain archetype that she was taught that he should. That he, as a black person, should fit the dark villain, and she keeps seeing the blood of different people as a result of her husband's actions. And so, in this poem, in this little excerpt, Bryant actually leaves the kitchen after breakfast has been made, and her husband follows her, and then just a fountain of emotions develop. And so, some of the ways that Brooks does this is through various techniques such as ascendenton, polyscendenton, irony, imagery, as well as some suffocating, it seems like, diction. And so, the first instance is this right here. This right here, tying her as I, and this is situational irony, because we know that Emmett Till was actually murdered and then tied up to some heavy piece of metal and sunk in the river. And so this little line right here saying tying her as with iron is kind of drawing the similarity between Emmett and then Carolyn Bryant, because she's kind of Brooks does this to help identify her with like the feeling of helplessness that Emmett kind of felt. And so down here, where Brooks writes that the red ooze was seeping, spreading darkly, thickly, slowly, Brooks uses ascendenton here to give it kind of a sinister feel. It gives the image of blood, it gives it more depth, and it kind of shows how uncomfortable she felt. Like everywhere there was this feeling just oozing out, like as the blood would ooze out, and it was kind of just overtaking everything. You can see that kind of through here down in this hyperbole and all over Earth and Mars. It shows it's kind of inescapable. And so this series of lines right here, this is actually it can be interpreted two ways. The first way is it can be interpreted as he's talking about sex. But if you read closer and in the context of the poem, it seems that in fact it's not about sex at all. It's about like his motivation for murdering Emmett Till that night. It was all because of his love for her, and that's like his intention. His intentions were good, but in the end, it kind of dissolves the image, like the metaphor of him being the fine prince. But down here, also in these lines, this is actually polyscendenton, and when you read this, you read it as something about love and night and intention. It goes on and on. Similar to this is how Bryant might be feeling in response to this. She's tired of listening to him, like she's fed up with all of his explanations and reasoning, and she just doesn't want to hear it at all. Another important part down here is more polyscendenton, but I'll get to that in just a second. This line right here, this is it kind of, like I said before, dissolves the image of her husband as the fine prince through the use of auditory imagery and visual imagery. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish unhighlighting that, sorry. And so when she says that she hears no hoofbeat of the horse and no flash of the shining steel, we can kind of feel this image that she has of the fine prince just disappearing and fading away. And down here, again, this is Polly Denton from the courtroom, Coca-Cola 2, down here. This is kind of like sensory overload because it's a hot day in Mississippi. There's Coca-Cola, there's beer, hate, sweat, and drone. It's like the constant background noise. And so this is it kind of shows like the blur of emotions that Bryant felt at the moment, because, you know, she's been taught that she's not supposed to think of black people like this, and yet she's relating him to sometime throughout the poem her own children, and how he was just a boy, and so she kind of wanted to bear this, but the feelings that she had just wouldn't go away. And so throughout this excerpt, Brooks also writes with like a suffocating diction almost. Like, for example, she was gripped in the clam of his hands. See here. These two lines right here, very wet and red, very, very red. It's not how you would typically imagine it, like a kiss, but it just closed over her, and it's like there's no escape from it, and like how a sickness heaped within her. And so this suffocating diction just goes to further how Bryant kind of felt when dealing like with her husband. And so she just kind of she feels that she's being suffocated, and then a hatred kind of develops in her, as we can see later on in the poem when it says that like a sickening stench larger than all magnolias. After this, about a couple lines farther down. And so kind of shows like the new somethings that have been developing within Bryant. And so this last line right here is also very, very weird in the way that it's worded, because if you look at an exclamation point, you can see that it's basically you can see that it's a dot with a line above it, right? And so if it was decapitated, you'd be taking the top part off of it and just leaving it with a dot. This kind of shows how the other woman, which is Till, has been, like, basically her spirit has been killed.